Episode 180, Walk the Plank. This is Alpha Mike, and I am your host today on Radar Cop Podcast, transmitting high atop of Florida's peninsula at 108 feet. We will continue with our Buccaneers series for the remainder of the month, and starting February 3rd, I believe it is, we will go into regular programming. We're going to have the Dominican Officers Association. We're going to have CCW in a mob with Kilo Sierra. We're going to discuss qualified immunity. And we're going to have our first Wise Guys series for the season of 2021. So we'll do all that. And the reason we're doing it is because the drama continues all the way up until January 20th. So it's sucking the air out of every podcast. And we know big tech we're having a little difficulties uploading and stuff like that. So it's the prudent thing to do. All right, how do you contact us? RadarCop.com. There you can hear all our podcasts, and RadarCopNation.com. You can see more about our website. The Hardy's list is still on RadarCopNation.com. List is coming along. There, it's all about who our partners are. And speaking of partners, it's time to gather our books, pay attention. The Word of God. God is our biggest partner. Let's do it. From the book of James, chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. You can hear more about this on Test Everything 1521, 15 minutes or less, the powerful Word of God for your spiritual warfare. More than ever, every battle that you see that's happening on our everyday lives, believe it or not, most of the time are more spiritual than anything. Episode 180, Walk the Plank. We're about to tell you the do's and don'ts and who has to walk the plank. From the cannon shot, we start. Walk the Plank, episode 180. As we wait for our leader, there has to be a leader to any cause, and in this cause, we need a leader. And that leader has to give us specific instructions of what will happen in our future. What is our role? Once we understand that role, we can organize a little bit better than we are as I speak. But while we're waiting for the leader to give direction, let's outline a little bit of the people and the things that need to walk the plank. Walking the plank, a pirate term for people that are no longer use on the ship. They've been taken prisoner for their treasonous ways, and it's easier for them just to walk on a pine piece of wood extending outward from the ship towards the ocean and just telling them, keep going, until they splash right in there. We'll leave them exactly where we found them, and they can sink to the bottom. Why should we do this? Well, we said it just a couple of seconds ago. Because of their treasonous ways. And you can't belong to one team and in the middle of the game, during one of the periods, as the referee blows the whistle, you switch out and change jerseys. Now you're on the other team. No, that's not how it works. You've got to continue with your team, win or lose. So number one up, the needs to walk the plank. I'll explain who they are or what they are and why. Up first, the GOP, the Grand Old Party, better known as the RNC, the Republican National Committee. They are worthless as worthless can be. There is no use for them because of their lack of interest and support on protection of their president. They don't have the House, they don't have the Senate, and it appears that they don't have the presidency. They are worthless. They produce nothing, and they are toxic. As such, it's time to sort them out. And as we go down the list, we'll explain how many have to walk the plank. The GOP from the very beginning in 2016 were very negative against the president. I remember Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Senate and very important voice in the GOP, as he was talking to a bunch of elitists in some luncheon, and President Trump was brand new and said he wanted a couple of bills, get them passed right away, and I believe he was talking about Obamacare. And Cocaine Mitch thought it was funny to tell the crowd he was talking to, yo, we're going to get right on it. You might not remember this event, but it happened. Of course, the president hit him over the head with a Twitter, and Cocaine Mitch later explained what I meant by that was there's a procedure of doing things in Washington, and the president really doesn't know. He was being facetious, my friend. That's why he's a horse's ass today. Cocaine Mitch. So, let's continue on our list. Also, to walk the plank, Congress, specifically 82 congressmen in the House of Representatives that were Republican that switched over to chaos. The villains, remember the villains from Get Smart? Chaos. They switched over and they voted against doing anything with the election because the Constitution and the principles of election, they are so full of shit, it's not even funny. So we got 82 winners on this list that need to walk the plank. The Senate, up next. Well, let's break down the Senate a little bit easier. 6 were for the president. So there are 6 lives that will be spared. But there are 93. We got to get rid of all senators, not just the Republicans. All of them. And that would be 93. Well, that equals 99. One of them was home on timeout. He was on COVID-19 timeout. Senator from Georgia. Walking the list also. How could we forget? Idiots like CNN, MSN, NBC, whatever the hell that name is. And all the other wackos, ABC, CBS, Wall Street Journal, Wall Street, all these newspapers, New York Times, all that crap. All of that needs to walk the plank. Now, specifically today, we're talking about those that were on the ship in the first place. So that means they're a part of us. These media scum that I just talked about would never be on the ship. So the ones on the ship. So who could I be referring to? Well, you need to listen with a keen ear. These conservatives that talk with forked tongue. And we're going to be listing some of the stuff on RadarCopNation.com on the section that says Hearties. Heart, like heart. Heart teas. And there we're putting all the media you can look at. Newsmax and so forth. But what I want you to concentrate on when you listen to radio, podcasting, or television, just don't nod yes. Watch. Keep your eye on that scoundrel to make sure they don't start talking with forked tongue later on. I remember some of them were against the president 100% during the 2016 campaign. All of a sudden, probably in 2019, all of a sudden I see them part of the parade route headed towards a victory. Look at there, what a change. Only to convert back to being scum again. So keep your eye on that. But the media needs to walk the plank. The smell test. If you're not sure, keep them at arm's length. There's a lot of idiotism, stupidisms on all kinds of social networking. I've been listening to it about overthrowing governments and stuff like that and prime ministers being arrested. And I just did some basic one-on-one detective work and caught him in a couple of lies. So what happens is, if you were to be interviewed by the FB Tremendous Eyes, you, my friends, would end up with a 5-year sentence for lying to the FBI. So, the smell test. If they don't smell right, something's not right, you got that gut feeling, 2 and 2 is not equaling 4. It's time to break out the calculator, keep that entity or persons at arm's length. We're not ready for them at this particular time. There are a lot of evildoers that dwell amongst us. President Trump's administrations for the last 4 years was full of nothing but traitors. They'd come in, they'd spy, they'd report back, get a little spot on the resume, pull the parachute and jump. And they're still out there by the droves. Remember we said in the last podcast, human nature will always cling to those that are winning. That means the 80 million that are on supposedly our side, the Trump side, they may thin out just a bit. don't be shocked. So the smell test has to come into play. If it doesn't smell good, it's rotten. And don't forget, most importantly, that's on the list for today, the Dan Bongino 3-day rule. Now, Dan Bongino's been going through a little counterpunching over there. We got to keep him in prayer. Sign up to his website, Dan Bongino, a true patriot. He's part of the cause, but he's being taken in by big tech. They took out Parler, which he's an investor in, and they brought down a lot of his podcasts from YouTube. It's horrible what's going on, but my friends, you need to remember Dan Bongino's 3-day rule. As the rumors start, I'm seeing on an everyday people getting a little tidbit of a story and they're running with it. Put on the camera, turn on the lights. I'm doing a podcast, and there they are, smiling and cheering people on YouTube, telling them victory's around the corner. Because I found out on this date it's going to happen. Then that date comes and goes, and they hide out for a couple of days, and then they resurface with another podcast, video cast, whatever you want to call it, like nothing ever happened. Who, me? I said, what? The 3-day rule, my friends. Once the news goes out, don't be so quick in reporting it, and you want to be national news to let everybody know on social networking. Wait 3 days, do the sniff test, and see if that original story has changed. And if it does, then you're going to thank not me, but Dan Bongino that came up with the rule. It's better to wait than to shoot. Fluid and dynamic is last on our list. Things that are fluid and dynamic are fast evolving, similar to a use of force. Now, on a fluid situation, you've got to have plan A, B, C, D, and so forth. Those plans are going to come from you, a team member, part of the Trump train. As the leader starts to focus on where we're headed, what we're doing, and who we can trust, you need to come up with the 3-day rule, the sniff test, and everything else. That's your part. So how are we going to take out the congressmen and the senators at the voting box? Well, based on the community where you live, keep your head on a swivel and find out who's running in your state, and then run with them, because we're running against the Republicans in primaries. All traitors, when they run in a primary for 2022, we need to make them walk the plank. Get new people in there. Look at the new 15 congressmen from the Republican Party that went in. They're full of piss and vinegar. They can't wait to get their hands in the action. So you need new blood, folks. It's just, it has to happen. That way we don't have to have chicken throat Mitch McConnell, been there 40 years, manipulating crap for his own benefit. And all the other Tutankhamens that are at the Senate that have been there for 100 years, they need to go. So fluid and dynamic is the movements that you, as an individual team player, will have to do if you're going to be part of the effort. The effort is objective number 1, president back in office. Objective number 2, get rid of all the rhinos, all the traitors in the Republican Party. And based on the leader's decision, the Republican Party might get a shot in the ass as well, and there might be a third party. But we don't know that, so we're not going to run around. So right now, we're going to say we are a part of the GOP and we're going to create new blood. That's it. That's all you got to say. And be fluid and dynamic when that changes at the drop of a dime. So, what are the rumors out there on social network? What's left? Well, Parler up in smoke. Winkin, I was a part of that. That's struggling with a pair of crutches. Awful. And I stopped doing Twitter. I posted the other day, this will be my last post. And on Facebook, I didn't really say that goodbye so much, but Facebook will get the trigger pulled on them soon enough as well. But as you know, starting in social media, a new platform, you start with you start with 0 friends. And I believe I have currently like 3,900. So it takes a good while to get to those numbers. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for all of us. But I don't recommend that you stay on Facebook. I don't recommend that you stay on Twitter. There's no talking to liberals and leftists. It's like talking to a wall. So if you're in a chatty mood, look at the prettiest wall you have in your home, stand in front of it, and talk to it for about 45 minutes. The response that you're going to get in that conversation will be about the same response you get from a leftist or a liberal right about now. They're on Bolshevik mode. They're on destroy, hate, anger. These are the hypocrites that several weeks ago said we all need to come together. We all need to be one. And in 2 blinks of an eye, they've come up against us. Now, we need to look at one important factor here. They despise the president, no doubt about it, 100%. But they're scared of the president because the president's wiring system is different from anything they've ever seen. He will give you the finger on 12 o'clock in the afternoon with every media camera running at the same time. Doesn't care. But at the same time, they want to get rid of him. They don't want him to come back and run in 2024, or the ability to create a huge 80 million follower network. So they're looking to get rid of him. They're talking about impeachment today. Most likely it won't work. And when he becomes a private citizen, then they're going to come up with other things. His tax records and everything. Remember, folks, it's a free ride. Congress, Senate, and presidency, they have. It's a free ride. Okay? So they're going to come up with something. And we need to be focused. And we need to continue going towards the goal. The goal, get rid of all the traitors. We have to take care of home first. You have to sweep and clean your house. And once we do that, then we can go out and defeat the Democrats at the voting box, which, by the way, will probably still be corrupted. Because I don't know what this magical authority that's going to come out of nowhere to ensure that all elections are fair from this point on. It's mind-boggling. And I want to end with this. There are the conspiracy people out there talking about 16th, 17th, 18th, or 19th, or the 20th. The Insurrection Act might be signed and the president might move towards remaining president. And as far-fetched as that sounded to me the first time I heard it, I started connecting the dots. Detective work. And something started to pass the smell test. But before you get happy, you get all excited. It's starting to look a little differently now that the president has reemerged as he showed up in Texas and named the Biden administration in a speech. So I'm not sure. But the conspiracy folks are out there, and keep looking, keeping your head on a swivel, looking into what they're saying, scrutinize the crap out of what they're saying. Okay? And be careful you don't fall into a trap, because there's a lot of haters out there. The bottom line is, we don't know what's going to happen until the leader says what's going to happen. Remember that. It's a very important paramilitary element to continue going forward. Up next, Lily Livered. We're going to talk about cowards. God, we got a bunch of those that we have to talk about. As a reminder, we're going to continue talking about the Buccaneers series all the way towards the end of the month. And in February, we go into regular programming. As always, it is my honor and pleasure to be your host on Radar Cop Podcast. Continue to pray for yourself, because without you in the game, we have nothing. Continue to pray for your family, for your community, for the law enforcement officers that serve you in your community, and most importantly, for the United States of America. This is Alpha Mike, and I'm out.